If you want to understand the Trump supporter, you just got to look at their brain. They've got a larger, denser right amygdala, which processes fear. So they lead through fear. They've got really low disgust tolerance. What does that mean? It means when Trump talks about dirty immigrants and shithole countries, that cuts right through the noise because Trump is congruent. He's a germaphobe. It speaks directly to their unconscious biases. They have low tolerance for uncertainty, so they tend to be more fanatical and religious, right? Because they can't handle the nuanced thinking. They like black and white, right? We have very different contextual frames that we operate under. Theirs is the strict authoritative father figure frame. Liberals is the nurturant maternal frame. Liberals tend to have a denser area and connectivity of the ACC, which allows them to be more adaptable to change. Not so with the conservative brain. That sorts through the past, liberals sort through the future. These are very different frameworks. But the real problem is the dissonance, you see, because consciously, the conservative brain will think they're the party of freedom, right? Don't tell me what to do, don't take my guns. But that's in direct opposition to their unconscious processing. And that dissonance, that friction causes anger. Yeah. Did you ever try to give a conservative some facts or anything that is disconfirming evidence to their current belief? What do? You get anger because they can't handle the dissonance that comes with a little bit of uncertainty thrown into the system. Please understand that they weren't born that way, that the brain takes the shape of what you have, how you continually use it, right? But it tells you a lot, doesn't it? Understanding the Trump supporter, part 2. We already talked about their brain and the framework of fear that they operate out of. Let's talk about how they weaponize it. Well, like any fascist regime, they have to control the narrative. So how are they doing that? First, they start with sowing uncertainty and distrust. Don't trust science. Don't trust the news, fake news. Don't trust the government. It's a deep state and it's a swamp. Don't trust judges, the liberal activist judges that keep ruling against him. Don't trust education. So they have to control what's being taught. They got to control the curriculums. They got to, control what books people can read and what they can't read. They're banning books. They're burning books again, then control higher education where all those liberal elites live. So that, that's the big fight between the universities and the Trump regime. Stop political protests, stop dissent of any kind. Even you can't write an op-ed. You might get kidnapped off the fucking streets. So they've got to do all of that, all the while provoking the fear. Uncertainty, fear, uncertainty, fear, uncertainty, fear, so that then they have to offer something for these people to latch onto, right? Enter Fox News, which claimed they weren't a news outlet, by the way, just entertainment when they were trying not to pay hundreds of millions of dollars in a lawsuit they lost for all the disinformation they spread. But a Fox News watcher wouldn't be able to see that. He would have to trust the fake news. Yeah. Then what we want to do is we want to dismantle the government system so that it's totally broken so they can say, see, it doesn't work. See, the government doesn't work. So they can go in and privatize this shit and make all the money. But that's a whole nother thing. So this is part of how they really, really weaponize it. They take things like empathy and they equate it with weakness. Empathy equals weakness. So if you care about anything other than yourself and your tribe, then you're weak, right? You're a liberal, you're whatever. So that's just some of how they weaponize it. Weaponizing the Trump supporter, part 3. So we talked about how they sow uncertainty and distrust, how they manufacture rage and directionalize that rage and narrow the scope of influence. Why is this important? Let's talk about it. So our brains run on prediction, right? We are running on automatic pilot almost all the time because 97% of our mental processing is outside of conscious awareness. Your brain needs to conserve energy, so it automates whatever can be automated, yeah? And the way that our brains update information is through defying that prediction, what's called a prediction error, a mismatch. right? Disconfirming information getting into the system causes a halt to the automaticity as the brain, do I need to update here or not? Now, we already talked about how differently the conservative brain and the liberal brain process. So one is far more open to adaptability, to change, to diversity of thought, and to nuanced thinking. The other, fear-driven, hates uncertainty, doesn't want nuanced thinking at all. So what that means is, for the liberal brain, that's a wider range of influence, right? Wider range. So, they can't have that for the conservative brain. So they limit it to what Fox News can feed you. Yeah? And here's the problem with that. They need to shape the information so that it doesn't defy their predictions. So it doesn't cause disconfirming information. So they can't talk about peaceful protests. They have to talk about riots and LA burning down and call in the Marines to defend you. They're burning down the city and it's coming for you next. Right? Because that fits with what they believe. We've got all these unconscious filters, our biases, our heuristics, that shape what information gets in. So they really need to keep that bandwidth of influence very, very narrow. No diversity of thinking there, because when it does get in and that lane widens out, they lose a Trump supporter.